Hello, everybody. This meeting is now called to order at 5:33 p.m. Madam Secretary, can you take roll call?
Certainly, Chairperson David Heredia,
Present?
Vice Chairperson Raul Velasco,
Present.
Commissioner Hugo Alvarado,
Present.
Commissioner Carlos Jose Barrera,
Present.
Commissioner Jason Gavilanes.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Chavez, can you lead us in the invocation, please?
Yes, good evening, Chair and members of the Traffic and Safety Commission. Please bow your head in prayer with me. Thank you, dear Lord, for our country and the city in which we live. We are thankful for our blessing, all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We are grateful for the citizens who are interested in our city and bringing matters concerning traffic and safety to the attention of the commissioner's consideration. Please be with the commissioners as they study these matters and make decisions concerning them. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Gavilanes, would you like us to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. And Madam Secretary, was the agenda posted according to state law?
It was posted according to law.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is a time given to the public to speak on agenda and non-agenda items. Were any comments received?
No comments were received, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I need a motion from a commissioner on approving the minutes of the meeting on February 7th, 2023.
I'll first the motion.
And I need a second.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, can you please take roll call vote?
Certainly. Commissioner Alvarado,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Vice Chair Velasco,
Yes.
and Mr. Chair Heredia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to the first item on the agenda for discussion, traffic safety analysis. And Ms. Chavez, can you please give the report?
Yes, good evening, Chair Heredia and members of the commission. If you recall, this was a request that had originally been on the February commission meeting, and staff requested it be tabled to March to allow residents time to attend and provide testimony. So before you is a request for the installation of speed humps on Fostoria Street between Garfield Avenue and Scout Avenue. Ultimately with the recommendation to deny the request for speed humps, and I will let our city engineer Doug Binoche provide the report. Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners. Tonight we're here for a speed hump analysis as a result said on Fostoria between Garfield and Scout. As with all speed humps, we follow the city's policy and we evaluate several key figures or key components of that in order to make to determine a recommendation of whether to install speed humps. And those key items are: is it a local residential street with one lane of travel in each direction? And yes, the street is. Is roadway width not more than 40 feet? And yes, the street is. There are no curves that would make it difficult for drivers to see the speed humps. No, there's no significant curves that make it difficult. And the traffic volumes are between 500 and 3,500 vehicles per day. The posted speed limit or the prima facie speed limit is 25 miles an hour, which it is. And when we do the speed profiles, that the speeds exceed the 85th percentile, which is 33 miles an hour or more, then that qualifies it for speed humps. And the speed humps are not installed at grades over 6%, and it's not and the street is not a transfer route or a primary emergency response route. And again, and then once if it does meet the warrant, these warrants, The citizen support requires at least 51% of the residents along the street to support the request. In early December, we obtained traffic and speed counts from December 8th to December 11th, which is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in order to determine if we meet the volume and the speed accounts. For this section of Fostoria, on the 4 days, the 637 vehicles are the average vehicles per day, and the 85th percentile speed limit is at 30 miles an hour, which is less than the 33 miles an hour needed to effectuate that portion of the warrants. What we then determined is that both because of the lack of meeting the speed profile and primarily this is our reason for denying the request for that for the installation of speed humps on this street section. And so that's our recommendation to the traffic commission. I'll entertain any questions.
And just to confirm, if the commission were to deny this request, we can still ask the police department to potentially do added rounds there in case citizens have added concern over the speeding in the area. And I know it might be isolated instances.
Yes, that can be arranged.
Apologize, Commissioner, my button is, I couldn't access it, but anyway, yes, we do forward all the commission matters to the police department every month. And we also follow up and make requests to the specific traffic team for any enforcement efforts they could provide related to the complaint. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, again, I think we spoke about this at the last meeting. If these motions don't pass, generally the residents can go ahead and request another speed survey in another 6 to 12 months and then be revisited at another time. Is that right?
Correct. Typically, we would reconsider it in at least a 12-month time frame, unless there's some traffic pattern change or something the police department might bring to our attention, where it would move up that timeline.
Got it. Okay. Just want to make sure the residents know, just in case they do see it, just to go ahead and let officers know, or just go ahead and try to revisit it in 12 months if it's still an issue. Okay. Other than that, I need a motion from the commission to approve staff's recommendation to deny the request for speed humps.
First the motion.
Okay, and I need a second.
I'll go ahead and second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, can you take roll call vote, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Alvarado,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Vice Chair Velasco,
Yes.
and Mr. Chair Heredia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ready? So we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, another traffic safety analysis. And Ms. Chavez, can you please give the report?
Before you is another request for the installation of speed humps on Ajax Avenue between Watcher Street and Agra Street. And similar to the last item before the commission, this is also a recommendation to deny the requested speed humps. And I'll let Mr. Banash, our city engineer, review his findings. Thank you.
Again, thank you. Good evening, Commission. We're here with another request for speed humps on Ajax between Watcher and Agra. And it complies with basically it's a north-south street. It does comply with the being a residential street, speed limit of 25 miles an hour. The roadway width is there. There are no curves. And it's not a transit route. So from February 9th to February 12th, we conducted speed and volume data was collected on it. The 4-day average of vehicles per day was 1,259 vehicles per day, which is within the threshold. From that standpoint, when we look at the speed indicator, the 85th percentile was 29 miles an hour, which is within a decent range for a local residential street, and it does not meet the 85th percentile by the 8 miles an hour required. Therefore, on average, the bulk of the traffic on there does not speed. And since we do all our speed postings to 85th percentile, that does not meet the threshold for the policy. Therefore, it's staff's recommendation to deny the request for speed humps on is based on the speeds not meeting the 85th percentile criteria. And I'll entertain any questions.
I had a question, on Lanto and Ajax or Agra and Ajax, are there any, stop signs?
I believe if there's stop signs, they're going to be for the cross traffic from Lanto and Ag stopping at Ajax. I have to look on the, give me a second, I can look real quick. I don't have that information off the top of my head. Let's see here. One of Google Maps on my computer.
I believe, Doug, from what I can see, there is a two-way stop at the intersection of Lanto and Ajax. Did I hear correctly? Was that the right intersection? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, basically for both Lanto and Agra, you stop the westbound traffic stops at Ajax. Ajax does not have any stop signs based on Google Maps. So Ajax is the through street. Lanto and Agra come to have a stop sign from that standpoint. And then at Watcher, Ajax stops at Watcher, and Watcher the through move. Is a through movement. And of course at Gage, the intersection.
You got cut off a bit, Doug, but I think you said at Ajax and Watcher, there is a stop sign due to the street intersecting or dead ending there, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And can you confirm that the time frame, what hours of the day that the survey was done? Was this during peak hours around 5 o'clock p.m. or early in the morning when there's parents taking their children to school?
Average daily traffic is taken over a 24-hour period for each day. So we collected for the entire 24 hours for each of those 4 days. So we do capture the morning peaks and the afternoon peaks.
And I think you shared this, Doug, but it is 2 weekday days and 2 weekend days. So it captures
Correct. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
all activity and movement on the street.
Great, thank you.
Okay, similar to the previous item, and then hopefully we'll just get some officers to go ahead and just patrol the area just as they usually do. And other than that, if residents want to raise any more concerns, whether it's the intersections or speed humps, you can feel free to do so at a future date as well. Okay, I need a motion from the commission to approve staff's recommendation, well, to deny the request for speed humps.
I'll first motion to go with staff's recommendation.
And I need a second.
I'll second that.
And Madam Secretary, can you take roll call vote, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Alvarado,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Vice Chair Velasco,
Yes.
and Mr. Chair Heredia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that'll take us to our last item on the agenda for tonight, reorganization of the commission. And Ms. Chavez, can you take us through that?
Sure. Good evening, once again, Commission. So it's that time of year for the commission among themselves to nominate and vote in a new chair and vice chair. So at this time, the chair can open up the item for any commissioner to nominate someone, and I would recommend starting with the vice chair position. Yes, and I'll turn it over to Veronica to further explain. Thank you.
Thank you. So as Grisel explained, as per the Bell Gardens Municipal Code, a commission shall elect its chairperson and vice chairperson from among its members for the term of 1 year and may create and fill such other offices within its membership as it is determined necessary and convenient. So at this point, I will declare the position of chairperson of the Traffic and Safety Commission to be vacant. And I can accept nominations for the position. Only one nomination is required. No second is required. So I'll accept nominations.
I'd like to nominate David Heredia to continue as chair for the commission. I feel he's been organized throughout this past year, and I think that we're doing great as a commission, and continue to have him on board as chair.
Thank you. So I have a nomination for David Heredia by Raul Velasco to serve as chairperson.
I second that.
Okay, great. So nominations are now closed then, and I can now we'll take roll call vote. And of course, the majority is required in order to elect the chairperson. So with that, Commissioner Alvarado,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Commissioner Heredia,
Yes.
and Commissioner Velasco.
Yes.
Thank you. So Commissioner David Heredia has now been selected as chairperson of the Traffic and Safety Commission. So congratulations, Mr. Heredia. And that takes us to the next. So I now declare the position of vice chairperson to be vacant, and I will accept nominations for the position. And again, only one nomination is required and no second is required. So I'll take nominations.
I would like to nominate Raul Velasco for vice chair.
Right. Okay. If I see no other nominations, I will close nominations. And I will now take roll call vote.
Veronica, sorry. I think David wanted to say something. Sorry, Jason.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I second.
Okay, great, thank you. So with that, nominations are now closed. And I'll do a majority vote is required to select the vice chair. So Commissioner Alvarado,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Chairperson Heredia,
Yes.
and Commissioner Velasco.
Yes.
Thank you. So Commissioner Velasco has been selected as vice chair for the Traffic and Safety Commission. So congratulations. And this would conclude the reorganization of the commission. Thank you.
Congratulations to the both of you.
Thank you, Ms. Chavez. And do we have any comments from the staff?
Yes, just one update, commissioners, from the last meeting of February. There was an inquiry made by a commissioner about the marquee sign or the formerly digital electronic sign at Florence Place in Toller. So just want to let you know that is on the city's radar. Our departments, administration, and community development have been talking about possibly receiving proposals from companies that can refurbish, replace, propose some other new and advanced technologically appropriate way of displaying advertisements and in a similar method, right? But in a 2023 standards and technology. So it is currently being worked on. So like I said, it is on the city's radar. Given that it is the budget time at currently, it will probably make its way there depending on what budget estimates are expected and what recommendations are made from the sign company, but just wanted to let you know. And maybe if everything were to get approved, then it becomes a feasible project. It's something that could be implemented within the next budget year. So we'll keep you updated on anything we hear on that. Thank you. That is all I have, Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have any comments from commissioners?
I do. I have a concern, or not concern, a question. What are the requirements to make a traffic light left turn only and a left turn and yield and turn when you yield?
And I'll let our smart engineering, our engineer answer that. And I don't know if you have a specific intersection.
I do. They're both on Eastern. One's going northbound Eastern and Clara, and then also northbound Eastern and Gage. I feel like right now, since both those intersections have a turn when the green arrow is on, so there's a lot of backup speeding over to the through traffic lanes, and I feel like sometimes it backs out too far out, and sometimes drivers get frustrated and get out of that first lane to avoid that left turn. I feel like if it's and sometimes on the opposing traffic going southbound, there's no cars coming the opposite direction, so I feel like maybe those cars are waiting to make a turn can do so without having that restriction of only being when the green arrow is on.
Okay, and for Eastern and Clara, Doug, remind me, there is no dedicated left turn signal there, right, Doug? Remember our Clara Street Improvement Project we presented several months ago last year when there was a request for
Left turn phasing.
yeah, I forgot what the request was, but we shared that there is a project underway that wouldn't realistically start until next year. Did that project, Doug, include for dedicated left turn phasing there?
It would at least address, we would at least evaluate it to see if it does need it at a minimum. If it does, then we would design the signals accordingly to improve it. And yes, I am aware of that. His concern about specifically at Clara about the traffic backing up. So yes, they would be on the radar to at least look at it through the traffic study under that project.
Yeah, so that is in part of that project,
Yes.
the streets improvement that's through the gateway funding that's still continuing to be presented and approved upon. We were waiting for funding, I believe this year is when we were supposed to get that.
I expect something this spring, I hope.
Yeah, local or state funding. So that would be evaluated at that time. And the second intersection you said was Eastern and Gage?
Yes.
Okay.
That one, we could probably budget in the next fiscal years for a traffic study to be done, which would be 10 to 15 grand to do the delay study and determine if it warrants. And then we could if it's warranted for left turn phasing, whether it's protected permissive or just dedicated left turn phasing, then we can budget accordingly for a new traffic signal, which is about $400,000 in today's dollars. Because basically, we'd have to upgrade the entire intersection at the time.
And Doug, is that something that is incorporated or could be incorporated into the current gauge project? You know, we have the gauge intersection project on the CAP. We can look more into that, but there's work along that corridor of Eastern that's going to be done till Florence, but doesn't reach all the way to Gage. But I think there's some leftover Gage work that had not been completed in the last street improvement project on Gage, but we can make note of that and add it into the that project accordingly.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Just to add a quick comment to the Gage and Eastern, northbound Eastern left turn lane. I believe a couple years ago, we had the same situation and it was briefly remedied by making sure that the timing was correct on that signal. So if that's something we can look into for now until we possibly turn it into a protected permissive type of turn.
Yeah, we'll look, and I should have mentioned that we'll look into timing for both of those to see if something's caused it to go off timing, and it needs to be readjusted. And we'll have our traffic engineer look at the current timing plan
Okay.
for both to see if anything could make an improvement in the meantime,
Right.
or maybe that would be an answer and alleviate any congestion. But during peak hours, as you know, Claire is especially backed up.
Mhm.
Being the one lane in each direction going westbound doesn't help. So thank you.
Righty, thank you. And do we have any more comments from commissioners?
I have one more comment. I want to show appreciation to the Public Works Department. Where I live, we recently got hit with graffiti, but it was painted over the next day. So I appreciate the work that the Public Works Department does.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We'll share that with staff. I know they appreciate hearing that and being recognized for the work they do, even though it's part of their job. They are very responsive and efficient. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Actually, that reminds me of another one as well. Just with all the rain that we had last week, I did see Public Works out there driving from drain to drain, just unclogging it from like trash that would build up and basically cause a flooding in curbs. So definitely appreciate that as well.
Thank you. We've had our share of rain patrol storm watch this year for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a comment. Congratulations to both again. And just to all the new ideas for the future to come, and all the great things that have been already accomplished in the city. And it's just nice to see great changes and just going forward. And nice to see everybody here. I guess I hope everybody's doing well, having a wonderful day, and a wonderful year.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further comments, then we could go ahead and adjourn to the next scheduled meeting of on April 4th, 2023. This meeting is now closed at 6:02 p.m. Thank you, everybody.